biology is crystal clear that at the moment of conception, also known as fertilization, a unique organism comes into existence. Since this new life possesses human DNA and is the offspring of human parents, it can legitimately only be described as human life. Since there can be no question that human zygotes, embryos, and fetuses are alive, some have attempted to claim that human beings are not persons until some threshold is crossed, such as viability, the capacity to feel pain, birth, or even the first year after birth. The merits of such notions can be debated, but it should be clear that they are not based on science, but rather on ideology, philosophy, or belief. As far as observable science is concerned, human life begins at conception. What happens at the moment of conception? At the moment of conception, a male sperm unites with a female ovum. The single-celled entity formed by the sperm and the oocyte egg is known as a zygote. At conception, the zygote has 23 pairs of chromosomes and approximately 50,000 genes from each parent, which combine to determine all of one's physical characteristics, including sex, facial features, body type, and color of hair, eyes, and skin. Today, the opposition will try to reduce the understanding of the child in the womb to be that of a cluster of cells or tissue. We know this to be scientifically inadequate. Let's premise this discussion with an understanding of what actually occurs. What are the various stages of development in the womb? Many stages of prenatal development can be identified, especially in the early days and weeks of life when change takes place at an extremely rapid pace. The following are the primary stages: zygote, blastocyst, embryo, fetus. And to this list of stages of human development, we might also add newborn, infant, toddler, child, adolescent, adult, and senior, the continuum of human life which begins with conception. It is important to understand this is indeed a continuum. It is scientifically grounded that of the 45 generations of cell divisions before adulthood, 41 have already taken place in the womb. Some will say we cannot identify when human life begins in the womb, albeit contrary to scientific evidence of life and unique DNA being created at the point of conception. We will hear that women decide when the child in the womb becomes life, and that the state has no business or no interest in protecting such life. This is as ludicrous as suggesting a senior citizen is a toddler in the continuum of life because we now have to care for their needs more closely. They are seniors because they are, not because we feel they are something different. It is also a state responsibility to care for its most vulnerable populations. We hear from the governor very loudly that we need to take care of those who are impoverished, who suffer mental illness, who might need a hand up until they can stand on their own. I can't think of a population of Ohioans who are more underserved than those waiting to experience their God-given life. This may just be the most important and fundamental role of government, to defend the least of thee from injustices. If you disagree that this is the role of government, I would ask you very directly if you believe we should go back in time and reverse decisions that were made by the very same function of our three-tiered government, the Supreme Court, that expanded protection to the unborn during the partial birth abortion ban, a practice that is now unthinkable by the American people, but was occurring on demand with no ability to regulate previous to the Supreme Court agreeing that such barbaric practices of killing an unborn or half-born child by stabbing an instrument inside the child's neck and suctioning out its brains, allowing its full-term body to go limp and head to collapse. I believe you would not want this to be legal in the United States. I would then beg the question, why is tearing a child apart outside of the womb more acceptable when done inside of the womb? We are now leaning towards legislation to protect the unborn at the point when we understand they may experience pain. I support this effort wholeheartedly. However, again, I believe the question remains, what if we are wrong? What if we believe this child may or may not feel pain? How could we ever err on the side that they may not feel pain previous to such defined point? I will tell you what we know for certain, that he or she has a beating heart. If the unborn child has a beating heart, how can we be the ones who allow that beating heart to be stopped? We know that a heart is pumping, and we continue to pretend that the child has no independent qualities of the mother. In fact, this is not a one-person plus a doctor equation. This is at the very least a two-person equation previous to ever consulting with a doctor, not even accounting for the father that may very much want to be included in such life-altering decisions dictating the fate of the mother and their child. If this is about a woman and her body, then it is interesting that she only during pregnancy has 2 heads, 4 hands, 4 feet, etc. You get the picture.